Welcome to this edition of You Can Get There From Here. I'm Dr. Joe Moore, Chair of the Department of Communication and Digital Media Production at the University of Central Missouri, and I get the distinct pleasure every week of sitting down and visiting with some of our alumni, finding out what they're doing these days, find out how the program helped them get there, and then get a little bit of advice from them for our current and prospective students. Today, we are visiting with John Gerhards. John graduated with a degree in digital media production, and he was one of our first students to come through our sports broadcasting curriculum. John, great to have you on the show. How you doing?
I'm doing great. I love the opportunity to be able to catch up with you, Dr. Joe. It's always a pleasure to get to see your smiling face.
Well, I'm loving looking in your room back there. You know, that's something we share, sports fans and Star Wars fans. So
That's right.
all the Millennium Falcon, the Tatooine poster, the
Bring
the
them on.
pictures of the Chiefs.
That's
I'm
right.
just I'm going to have to make sure I focus on you and not what's going on in the background there. You got some
Hey, I
great
don't
stuff.
mind. I
So
don't mind. I'm proud of it. That's why it's
good,
back there.
good. So what have you been up to since you graduated in was 2016? Is that what we're thinking?
I think so. I think that's what we're thinking. It's been a bit of a blur. It was a long road to get my foot in the door. And if you just want me to get right into it.
Yeah, go right ahead.
Yeah, so I had the luck of having a connection with a hockey team in Kansas City through my sister, who also was a part of the program at UCM.
Jesse Gerhards, one
And
of our alums.
yeah, she's a lovely lady.
Yes, she is.
Um, yeah, so that kind of got my foot in the door as a videographer for the Kansas City Mavericks hockey team. I started as an unpaid intern, basically, and really fell in love with camera work. I wasn't entirely sure that that's what I wanted to do when I graduated. I wanted to either be a director or I wanted to be a photographer. And the role kind of fell in my lap, and that got me going a bit. And yeah, working a camera at a professional sporting game was so much fun and it's so exhilarating, as you know. I mean,
Yeah.
you know all about working sports games, but that was a lot of fun, and then eventually that got my foot in the door with freelance work, working for all the minor league teams. And then the next thing you know, connections get made and you start applying for things and actually getting a call back. And then I get eventually to my full-time job now at Fox 4 News in Kansas City as a photojournalist for them. So a quick and grind of a journey, but it really helps you form into somebody who really appreciates where they make it in their career.
You know, I'm going to have you dispel a myth for me because many years ago I was talking to a news director at one of the stations up in Kansas City. I'm not going to mention which one, and he said, "You all need to be training your students to be producers. I can train a monkey to run the camera. They don't need a degree to run a
I
camera.
love that.
I need them to be trained to be producers where they can do everything, which is kind of our plan in our program is to teach you everything from camera work to writing to editing to directing and producing. You can't really train a monkey to run a camera. I
I
probably
would
could train a
disagree.
monkey to hold one, but
Sure.
to do what you're doing with it, that takes a little bit more skill, a little more training, does it not?
Yeah, I would say so. I'd say, really a newsroom kind of shows the strength of every single position. We have everything. We have producers, directors, we have photojournalists like myself, reporters, everything. And I think you're not going to get your best product unless everybody is excelling. And um, sure, you might be able to get by not knowing much about your equipment or how to story tell, but uh, if you can learn it in depth, um, and get to a point to where working a camera and knowing what you need from it is second nature, then you can really focus on what sells a story. And, that's the people in it and the story that they have to tell. And I think there's nothing stronger in my business than a good story. So, um, sure, I don't know about monkeys, working cameras, but it takes a whole lot more than that. And it took me a very long time to um, feel confident in what I'm doing. And I mean, it takes some time for sure.
Well, and you think about shooting at a video or at a video game at a sporting event, you've depending on which camera you're running, you're shooting something very different. The all 22 camera at a football game, getting the wide shot versus the hero shots versus the ISOs where you're at Arrowhead and you're supposed to be trying to find Taylor Swift and find her family, and you're at the Olympics and where are all the celebrities in the stands. That's some specified training. And you didn't do a background in journalism. You didn't take any journalism classes when you were here, did you?
No, I don't think so. Yeah.
So was yours learning more as far as news photography, as being a photojournalist? Was that a lot of that on the job?
Yeah, I'd say so. I'd say so. I think, naturally some of us have a knack for what it takes to storytell, and I mean we all grow up, we watch good stories all the time,
Yeah.
especially if you're a sports fan. I mean, how many amazing comeback stories are there, or someone who wasn't set up with the best situation in life and prevails through to the pinnacle of sports and whatnot. So somewhere in there, how to storytell and you know how to captivate an audience. And a lot of it, you just kind of have to let it come to you naturally. Um, I think ideas and creativity, spark opportunity for stuff like that. So, for me, I had enough opportunity to kind of find that sweet spot, uh, to tell a good story and um, have enough confidence now to where if I have a creative idea that I can speak it, and there's a good chance that I'm going to have the opportunity to tell that story. So,
Well,
yeah.
speaking of telling stories, you have a pretty cool story of something kind of cool you got to do this past winter. Tell us about it.
Yeah, so it's boy, what a time that was. I got to go to Las Vegas and yeah, be a part of shooting the Super Bowl throughout the entire week, which was a crazy grind.
I
You're
bet.
talking like 80 hours or so. One of the things that people don't probably think about when they're watching news here is that there's what, a 2 hour time difference, I think, from here to Las
Yeah.
Vegas.
One
So
hour,
for a
1 hour, it's mountain time.
for a 4 a.m. live shot,
No, it is 2 hours. You're
it's
right.
two
You're
hours.
right.
For a 4 a.m. live shot here, we have to be ready 2 a.m. there.
Oh.
And so what would happen was we would do, I'd say about 10 live shots in the morning in Las Vegas. And then this was we would have stuff that we shot from the day before. So we would have live shots from Kansas City time. It'd be from 4 a.m. to 10 a.m. So live shots all morning, about 10 of them. And after that is when Super Bowl media stuff is just going crazy. I mean, there's all kinds of events. There was like an Apple Music event that had Usher and Post Malone and the performing halftime guests at it. There was the fan experience where Jerry Rice brought out the Super Bowl trophy, and there was a giant media scrum to get an interview with Jerry Rice. Yeah, I mean, you're just piling into a very small corner with about 30 people with the same goals as you. And I mean, that's just kind of scratching the surface. I mean, the amount of stuff you would do throughout the day, it'd be probably 3 or 4 o'clock before we got done shooting. Well, then we have to cut things for those 10 live shots we have to shoot the next day. So, you know, while some people would get to kind of go out and experience a little bit of the Vegas nightlife, I was sitting in my hotel room till about like 9, 10 o'clock, editing stuff together for the next day to just sleep for 4 hours or so, get up and do it again. But man, I will tell you what, that experience of being at the Super Bowl, oh man, I want to go back so bad. I want to go back so bad. There's some things that I didn't get the chance to do, like actually shoot the game. It's a bit of a totem pole.
Mhm.
I shot games during the playoffs, which was a blast. I'd love to talk about when I got to go to Buffalo to shoot that playoff game. But I got to sit in the press box for a little bit, and to watch the game from there was just, no one gets that opportunity. It's so expensive, right? So I was paid to go there and to see the Super Bowl and just all the NFL players you got to see and celebrities, and it's crazy, but I had so much fun. for
Well,
sure.
we got time. Talk about your trip to Buffalo.
Yeah, so last year was actually basically my first year that I had the opportunity to shoot football games. And I've always wanted to do it, just had to kind of wait for my turn. And I mean, how lucky can you be to be in Kansas City with
Right?
like the most fun team to shoot in football? Um, so I did well enough to where I became kind of one of the main shooters at our station, and so that meant that I had the opportunity to shoot a playoff game. And thankfully, I didn't have to shoot the Miami game where it was one of the coldest games in NFL history. Instead, I got to go to Buffalo, New York, where I don't know, it snowed like 20 inches the day that we got in, and it was in the mid 20s. Um, that was amazing. I had so much fun being around Buffalo fans. Their culture is very similar to us here in Kansas City, and
Oh, they're
they're
rabid, aren't they?
wild.
They're
Yeah, I
rabid.
only got hit by one snowball in the back. It was fine. I was layered up. But the energy in that stadium, I mean, I get chills even thinking about it. And I mean, that is like, I can't replace that. I don't know where else I could get that kind of feeling. And that's my job. I probably shed a tear when I was out there, and it was a huge game and we won at the last second. And also, like, I killed it. I did a great job. So that
Well,
that
of
helps
course you
us.
did. Of
Yeah,
course you
well,
did.
and those are grinds of days too. I mean, there's a lot going on, but you're immersed in NFL playoffs. Like we're shooting press conferences and um and going and talking to fans throughout the week, and my whole life was NFL playoff football. And I can't think of anything better if for someone who loves sports like I do. It's awesome, and I can't wait to do it again. And yeah, it's just so much fun.
Now that's exciting. Now, I thought when you started there that you started on the promotion side. Did you start right away shooting news?
No, I was a production assistant
Okay.
working in the studio
Okay.
for almost 2 years, and there was an opportunity that came up towards that almost when I hit that second year, and I got the position as a full-time photographer for them. So yeah,
Okay. So you got to play a little bit of different roles within the studio or within the
right.
station.
Yeah, correct. And that's actually a good point. And, a lot of stations don't really have production assistants these days like they used to. Like, there used to be part-time production assistants. Now they're slimmed down a little bit. There's opportunity for internships, which is, I think, huge because we'll bring you right back in, for a job. Um, but that's where I really think I found the answer of what I wanted to do for sure. I got to see what it was like to direct a show. I'm great friends with the directors at our station now, and I quickly found out that that wasn't for me, and at the same time I would be able to go out and shadow photographers with reporters for stories, and you're out and about, you're meeting people, you never know what you're gonna do, and like I said, out and about, you're out of the house, you're away from the station, so um, yeah, I was able to find out that it was really something that I wanted to do, and yeah, it ended up working out for me, which was great. So
Well, you talked about in the testimonial that you shared with me that shooting the sporting events, you did some things in a couple of studio shows. You got a chance to play all of those different roles. How did that help prepare you for what you're doing today?
yeah, I think I took it was a special projects class, I think at the time, sports broadcasting. I think I took it
Yeah,
like
you're
three
one of the first
times.
classes that we had. Yeah.
I think I tried to take it every single year, and I will stand by that. That is probably the most important thing that I did in college. That hands-on experience is second to none, and I know you guys have upgraded since then, which looks awesome. I have to see it sometime. Um, but
It's
yeah,
pretty
I
cool.
would, the biggest thing that transitioned for me from doing those classes and working those sporting events was kind of the live atmosphere. The rush of trying to get a job done when you have to. One of my favorite stories ever was with Darren Plummer, DP. Miss him.
Hmm.
I got to see him soon too. Um, we were shooting, I feel like it was the MIAA playoffs for UCM baseball, maybe. It was towards the end of the year, towards the end of spring. And I think all of our cables like went out. They weren't working or something like that. And you guys had just got a batch of new cables in and they were back on campus. And so me and Darren hopped in his truck, scooted over to the labs, got the new cables, and then I watched him sit there and put like the stinger and the barrel of coax cable together, like trying to rush to get it done in time. And he did. And that right there, that is stuff that happens all of the time in our business. I mean, there's always something that's going to go wrong that you have to try and fix, something you have to get around. And I mean, it can be as simple as, like a Wi-Fi issue when you're trying to upload a story or anything like that. And um, that has always stuck with me. Like that story alone has stuck with me. And then there's, when you're working those games, you go through similar things like that as well when I was in college. And I think that's you can't teach that, right? I mean, like you have to experience it, and that's what UCM, offers up for people if they want to take advantage of that. That was the biggest thing for me, but I love directing live sports at UCM. That was so much fun. I fell in love with. I started to get into camera work there too, and working sports was just a blast, and it was so helpful for me. Those experiences were great.
Well, I'm glad you point out the thing that didn't work right. Something that went wrong, and you had to figure out how to make it work, how to fix it. I think that's one of the things that we stress in college is we're really trying to build those critical thinking skills and those problem solving skills. And so I remember when I taught the class, there were so many times that, and Darren and I talked about, it, I just never could pull the trigger and do it, but I wanted to reach back behind the TriCaster and just turn it off. Not the TriCaster, just the
So
switcher
right,
and
right,
turn it off
yeah,
because, we could all, our system, you could go to the keyboard and do it and see what that did to you all and see how quickly you would react to it. And
right.
we wrestled with that so many times,
Not a
whether we
bad
should do it or
idea,
not.
but
But
also, you do have to put a stream up for the school.
exactly. So
Right, right.
that was the trade-off. But I'm glad you had that experience and you learned from it. And like you said, we could try and plan things like that, but
Right,
for you to have to do that on the
right.
fly.
They'll
So
happen
that's
anyways.
yeah, they will.
That
So
something will go wrong.
well, we've talked a lot about your past. What about the future? What's next for John Gerhards?
Yeah, I've had opportunities to do a few other things. I'm so, I guess I'll say obsessed with storytelling right now. I've I've won an Emmy. It's kind of back there. That was cool. That was the
Excellent.
last goal I
I
had.
remember that.
Yeah, that was a great story. And like it was a lot of my ideas that came together. So I'm very proud of that. I want to win more trophies for sure. But I really want to shoot the Super Bowl. I think that'll be the next thing that I need to knock down. And I think it'll happen. Hopefully, it'll happen if we make it there. So one step at a time. That's big. And then, obviously, this industry isn't just the job that you have. I have some outside goals of getting into sports. Not just football, but I've grown up loving motorsports and racing and stuff like that. So, I'm trying to manifest it a little bit and somehow, get my way into some racetracks around here. And I would love to kind of have my own little social media page with racing content and motorsport
Okay.
stuff like that. So, yeah, I know that's a bit off the beaten path compared to what others probably want, but as far as my career goes, I want to shoot that Super Bowl. I want to win some more trophies, and then I want to be able to start my own thing off to the side. So, there's always something else you want to do, though, right? I
Yeah.
mean, and that's what's great about this field.
Yeah. You've got to have goals, you got to have aspirations, and you constantly got to be learning and think about what's coming next and
For
what you
sure,
can do
for
with
sure.
it.
And you'll
So
never learn everything in this
no.
field as well. You're
Yeah,
always learning something new. Yeah.
just as soon as you think that you're going to have everything figured out, they're going to come out with more AI stuff, or you're going to
Oh
have a new
yeah.
kind of camera system, or yeah, it's always going to be changing. So
Yeah,
that's
for
great that you're
sure.
catching on to that. So for you, what advice would you give to a current UCM student who's going through our program? And what advice would you give to a student who's thinking about coming to UCM to study digital media?
Um, yeah, so as far as someone thinking about going to UCM to study, I mean, the proof's in the pudding, right? Like, there are so many UCM alumni that are out in our field that are doing great things. I work with a few of them myself, and they're some of the most skilled people we have at our station. So the product that you guys put together should be attractive enough to bring some students in, I would assume. And it's just proven, you know. I think UCM has such a good family atmosphere, and that also exists right there, you know, in your guys' department. And so if someone's thinking about going, they just need to know that you're gonna have people that are looking out for you, that care for how you're going to do, and that want the best so that you can find success for yourself. Um, and then what was the second part of that question?
First part was current student. Second part was prospective
Yeah,
student. You kind of
yeah,
flipped them around.
current
That's all right.
no, yeah, current students, try everything that you can for sure. And you know, I would say for myself, I wasn't always like the best as far as in class, and yeah, I'm not the biggest bookworm out there, you know, but that's what's great about it too, is that for someone like me who does better with the hands-on experience, that was great for me. And I think if you know you're someone like me, get out there and try every position that you can. You know, it'll help you narrow it down at least. You know, there's always going to be opportunities to kind of change it up. You know, once you get out of college, you know, you might want to change roles here and there, but you're going to be able to test out the waters. You know, I did some color commentary for us a handful of times for the UCM Media Network. When you're sitting next to somebody who's meant to do it, you find out pretty quick. Maybe you should do something else. So yeah, try everything that you possibly can. And then I would say also make sure you use all the tools available to you. You know, if you're working on a project, make sure you're checking out equipment and learning that stuff as well. I mean, it's right there for you to check out. I wish I would have done that more. Is check out a camera and dig into that thing, right? And I mean, as well as like all the other tools, you know, like lighting and sound, everything. There's so much there at students' disposal. Just do it, do everything you can. Make the most out of your time for sure.
Well, John, it's great having you on. I'm so proud of what you've accomplished and
Thank you.
what the road has in store for you ahead. I hope to see you on the sideline some point. I hope to be with you on the sideline at some point in the Super Bowl. You're probably gonna need a spotter, right? I mean, somebody to kind of keep you safe.
Right.
So,
Yeah, we can
you know,
talk. We can
we can
talk.
talk.
What's the chance? But yeah, be on lookout. I'll be wearing Hawaiian shirts this year. So I'll be the
All
guy
right.
with the Hawaiian shirt on the sideline.
All
Hopefully I
right.
stick out like a sore thumb.
All right. Well, John, thanks for being on today. I appreciate you.
Thank you so much. Love you, Big Joe.
You too, buddy. And to all of you, thanks for tuning in today. Remember, you can catch every episode on our YouTube channel through the UCM Media Network. That's youtube.com/UCMMN. You can also listen to the podcast on Spotify. This is Dr. Joe Moore reminding you, you can get there from here. Have a great day.